So, hello, I'm Sabine and I'm a resident on the Central Estate, which is facing demolition, and we have invited Matteo here to come and talk about the environment and the effects of demolition on the community and how rebuild is not the best way forward. So, Matteo, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, my name is Matteo, I'm an architect and I have an interest in embodied carbon. I am part of an organization called Architects Climate Action Network, and I also teach at university.
Okay, and you were saying earlier that there should be a moratorium on all demolition of, if we're going to tackle the climate crisis and climate breakdown, we should stop demolishing any building.
So if we are serious about meeting our carbon targets, we cannot afford to demolish and rebuild buildings. We have a very, very limited amount of carbon that we can still emit. And rebuilding a building means using concrete and steel often, which are very, very carbon intensive. So think about all of the iron ore that needs to be extracted from a mine, and then it needs to be transported somewhere in a steelwork factory where it needs to be melted at very high temperatures. All of these processes emit a lot of carbon. So, you know, to demolish a building and rebuild it is crazy in a climate emergency.
That's great. And another thing is also the amount of resources that are being used up. I heard recently that glass, which is made from sand, and there's only enough sand for the next 20 years because we're using such a huge amount. And also that the sand is not from the desert, but is actually taken from riverbeds and seabeds, so it's damaging ecosystems. And
Yes.
it's a vast tons that are being taken out, and also is very carbon intensive process. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, so like all materials come from extraction. So, and we know, for example, that you know, in the UK there's going to be a new coal mine being open, and people don't realize that that actually is for the construction industry, because coke that comes from coal is used to make steel. It's not just to burn coal. So, you know, even in this country we are just we are using mining still, you know, to produce construction materials, and that is also a problem with biodiversity, because of course we know that open mines and, you know, destroy nature. So it's, you know, like all of these materials here that are in existing buildings have already been extracted all those many years ago. It's crazy to kind of demolish them and throw them away and start again.
Yeah, definitely, especially as they're structurally sound. There are no cracks. The roof on the building that was here originally was sealed. A nature person who inspected it for bats said there were no cracks for bats to live in, which showed that the building was structurally sound and didn't need demolishing. I also want to look at the social aspect of demolition. Is, for example, what gets built is often more expensive. This behind us is the decant block, so it will be for social housing and it is for shared ownership, but it is to remove people from the estate to then start building what can be described as assets. So when you think of the environmental impact of building something that isn't even to house people, and in the process we have so many empty properties, we have so many people from the estate who are moved out for various reasons, repairs not being done, or they just so uncertain about the regeneration that they just move out, or sometimes it's an opportunity for them, but effectively it doesn't benefit the communities.
Absolutely, that's why retrofit is so much better, because people could just stay in their homes, and, you know, if a good retrofit, which basically means adding insulation and improving the heating system, maybe with an air source heat pump and some solar panels, then people could just stay in their home, have like low energy bills, and, you know, there wouldn't be all this destruction of buildings and communities.
Yeah, definitely. And also the new building, we've seen how it's going to be built right up next to the road, and there's another road around the other side, and it's supposed to be car free. So where are people going to park? It doesn't seem to be really thinking about the community that are actually going to live in there. It's also the energy efficiency rating C, which is quite low.
That's crazy actually, because, you know, it's not even like in a good standard of, you know, insulation and, you know, building. Like, it should be built, if we are building a new building, at least it should be, you know, the top of the range of, you know, thermal efficiency and all that, like a passive house standards. Instead they're just building a building that is already, you know, like not energy efficient enough for
Yeah.
for the time we live in. Yeah.
And do you know, there's one more nugget of information about this build behind me, is that in the overheating assessment,
Yeah.
in normal summers, the bottom rooms overheat, bedrooms, a little bit, because the windows don't open so much, and this is where the disabled homes are going to be. But in extreme heat weather, they all fail.
Which is ironic, actually, when you think about the fact that this site used to be surrounded by mature trees, which would have provided shading, which would have avoided this problem. So like the building that was there before, actually in summer wouldn't have overheated because of the shading of the trees.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
I've understood a term which is thermal heat mass island.
Yeah.
What explain that?
Is the urban heat island effect. So
Okay.
where you have a lot of asphalt and concrete and no trees, temperatures during a heat wave are obviously much higher. So like in an urban area with no greenery, people suffer much more in a heat wave. And we're going to have so many more of these in the future. So actually, again, removing mature trees in an urban area is really stupid and short-sighted. Yeah.
Okay, so the message is, we will continue this conversation shortly, but the message here is refurbish, don't demolish. Thank you, Matteo. Thank you, Sabine.